A recent report shows an increase in young adults using electronic cigarettes.
The National Center for Health Statistics tracked data from 2019 to 2023, and it found the percentage of adults over the age of 18 who used e-cigarettes or vapes increased from 4.5% in 2019 to 6.5% in 2023. It also found that people between the ages of 21 and 24 were most likely to use those products. NBC News medical contributor Dr. Vin Gupta joins us now. Dr. Gupta, talk to us about these numbers. What are some of the trends this report found as it relates to vaping and the seeming increase in usage?
Yeah, Ellison, this is sobering news because we thought earlier in the pandemic that things were on the decline, as you just pointed out. Now they're up on the upswing in a really critical demographic, that adolescent into early adulthood demographic that's very malleable, whose behaviors are changing. And so that especially since we're seeing that spike in 21 to 24-year-olds, that heralds bad news because those could be future traditional cigarette smokers, and that's the worry here. And we're also seeing men using cigarettes, e-cigarettes, more than women, which is frankly synchronous and symmetric to historical data.
So, Dr. Gupta, these young adults are using the products at the same time that their brains are developing. I've even noticed more and more young people around me just pulling these out. So how does vaping impact development and growth?
Zincle, this is an area of evolving research. I'll say I'm a pulmonologist. We've been focusing on this for a while now, but what we now know is that any nicotine exposure, either through an e-cigarette, which has a ton of nicotine, or a traditional cigarette, impacts adolescent brain development. It can impact cognition, our memory centers, how we process information, big deal for this young group. It can impact mood swings and just kind of how we process information, risk of potential future risk of major depression, that type of spectrum of illness. So this is very worrisome, especially at a time when there's many factors here at play that are impacting adolescent brain development. This is a big worry.
And Dr. Gupta, can using e-cigarettes and other products, say like nicotine pouches, could those have different impacts on people than a traditional cigarette? Is it better?
Ellison, I think this is where there's the nuance here is in the details. Traditional cigarettes have tobacco. Tobacco has over 70 chemicals in it. When you combust it with a flame, deadly. We know it's one of the leading risk factors for cancer. E-cigarettes have nicotine, just like traditional cigarettes. They don't have tobacco. So it's a balance here. Nicotine itself is harmful. We know, again, we just talked about brain development issues, number one. Number two, we also think secondhand smoke exposure from an e-cigarette is not good for your heart or for your lungs. We're learning about that as we speak. But the difference here is traditional cigarettes have tobacco, e-cigarettes do not. So there is a difference in terms of risk profile, but both are risky.
Really important information, Dr. Vin Gupta. Thank you.
As the spring break